Hi, my name is Debbie, and I am obsessed with all things to do with ultrasound. I'm an empty nester who has spent the last 28 years scanning in all different kinds of situations: clinics, hospitals, point of service, emergency departments, private offices, echo, vascular, general, high risk OB, and want to dive down deep into all things to do with technology, techniques, and transformation. It's time we take ultrasound to the next level. Think of this like your little power boost on your commute to all things ultrasound, along your way to the thing that we call work. So pull up a seat, make sure you're comfy, and be ready to be challenged and encouraged as we learn it's all about the frequency. Today, we're going to talk to Jay Wang. He has many credentials, many being masters in business, RDMS, RMSKS, RDCS, RVT, CRGS, and CRCS, and CRVS. So lots of credentials. He's traveled all over. He is originally from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and he's most passionate about medical ultrasound and education. He's worked in both clinical and commercial environments for the past 17 years. His extensive international experience spans over 70 countries, enriching his career and in professional growth. Please help me welcome Jay Wang. We have today with us Jay Wang, a new friend of mine, and just wanted to talk about, first of all, your passion and what you are most passionate about in ultrasound.
Thank you, Debbie, for inviting me to join your program. Ultrasound has been a big part of my career, also my life. I started my ultrasound journey about 17 years ago, and I have not stopped doing this for the last 17 years. I have been either been scanning in the hospital clinics, or I have been working with manufacturers, or sometimes I do my own little enterprise in point of care training. I have witnessed the evolution of ultrasound from being mainly by the radiologists and the sonographers to today it has been adopted by more and more healthcare practitioners. So this is an exciting modality that we possess. And my belief is we need to promote ultrasound to more healthcare workers so our patients can benefit, and also it's going to make everybody's job more interesting.
So why do you think it's going to make everybody's job more interesting?
Ultrasound gives the opportunity to see through the human body without causing any harm. There is no radiation, and it's relatively inexpensive, and also it's more mobile compared to X-ray or CT or MRI. Ultrasound is one of the smallest imaging modalities, and it's one of the cheapest. And also it emits zero radiation. You don't have to usually nobody is usually prohibited from having an ultrasound because they have metal devices in their body, or there's almost virtually nothing that can stop people from using ultrasound.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a modality that more and more people need to learn to be able to use. But I also think, and agree with what you said, you know, not only do we want to make it accessible to a lot of other people, but there is definitely some training that goes along with that, right? A misuse or a misdiagnosis because of lack of training is definitely a risk, right? If you're not fully aware of the properties of ultrasound and how they're reacting, you know. So I appreciate your passion in that area. And what a neat thing that you've done your own enterprise of starting to educate and teach, point of care. Is that right? POC is point of care
Yeah, yeah.
to other people. So who is your audience then? where you're teaching? Who are you mostly teaching? Is it other medical professionals, or is it people just learning ultrasound, or?
Over the last 9 years, I have been working with one of the manufacturers. I have traveled to 70 countries to teach people how to use the equipment. And oftentimes, I teach people how to do ultrasound clinically. For
Okay.
example, I remember I was in Somalia one time, and there were a group of obstetricians coming to the workshop. And the obstetricians were so appreciative because almost nobody had flown to Somalia to teach people how to use ultrasound. What I see is this modality has been underused in many, especially in developing countries and underdeveloped areas. So we have this
Okay.
obligation not to make this a privilege for the rich countries and the developed areas. We need to promote this and democratize this to less privileged areas so more people can have access to ultrasound. I think you're right. The training is very important. The challenge right now is not that people don't want to get trained. It's more about they don't have the access to get trained.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So tell me more about your international travels. What other countries have you been to? And what were some of your experiences?
Yeah, it's been a privilege for me to have the opportunity to have covered so many places. I've been to a lot of Asian countries, say China, a lot, India, Pakistan, Thailand, Singapore, Japan. I've been to a lot of European countries from Western Europe to Eastern Europe, Germany, the UK, France, Poland, Romania, for example. I've been to a lot of Latino countries, from Mexico to Chile, Argentina, Ecuador, Panama. I've been to Australia. So, and a lot of African countries, as I said, Somalia, Angola, Egypt.
Wow.
So it's
So do
been a
you
very interesting
travel
career.
with a specific company, or are these your own travels that you've
Yeah, most of the time I traveled with a company. I was showing how to use their equipment.
okay.
More often, I had to show people how not just using their equipment, but to use ultrasound. No matter whose ultrasound, they need to learn how to use this correctly. So I
Yeah.
know ultrasound, they call ultrasound the future stethoscope. That means every health practitioner should have the access to it. With a stethoscope, you can listen, but with
Mm,
an ultrasound, you can see.
right.
And now the miniaturization of ultrasound has made it so portable. People can
Correct.
put it in a pocket. Now, many manufacturers are having such so-called handheld devices. They are the size of your cell phone. You can put in your lab coat, for example, right? You can carry the ultrasound everywhere you want. So
Right.
this makes it more and more accessible, and also the cost of the equipment is getting cheaper. So, which is a great thing. They estimate that in the future, if you don't know how to use ultrasound, you have lost a very important essential opportunity compared to other people who can use it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I personally have done a mission trip to Honduras, and it was life-changing. And I too got a
Mhm.
vision of wanting to teach and help other countries, underprivileged countries. I think we're quite spoiled. I think you're in Canada, but I'm in the US, and we're pretty spoiled that we can just find an ultrasound machine around any kind of corner
Yeah.
of and yet there's still a need for people who are trained in ultrasound. But in Honduras, yeah, I think my experience was that the government there provided very good technology. In fact, I'm ashamed to
Yeah.
say that some of their technology was better than some of the technology in some of
Mhm.
the doctor's offices I've worked for, which should be ashamed. I mean, we should be ashamed of that. But they get good technology, but quite honest, I've seen them like with the owner's manual open to learn the machine, right? And yet that's not learning ultrasound either. It's part of learning ultrasound, but it's not the full picture. So when we arrived, I did a lot of mission work, but then after it was a GYN mission trip. And
Yeah.
so I would scan, and then the doctors would a few days later take them to surgery, the ones that needed surgery. And
Mhm.
so while they were in surgery, then I was just trying to speak and communicate with the people to educate for ultrasound. And so I think it was such a unique and expansive experience for myself. And it sounds like for you as well, that there's much more of a need, much more of a need. So then we could be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think ultrasound, which is a fantastic modality, has been underused in general.
Yeah,
And even in some even relatively more wealthy countries, I mean, in Czech Republic, it's in the middle. Europe is still pretty nice. It's and a very beautiful country. I traveled to their one of the largest teaching hospitals in Prague. They have a couple of machines in the department, but nobody touch them because what they told me was I don't know how to use them. I'm afraid they look pretty intimidating with so many buttons. So
sure.
I mean, when I showed them how to use it, there are 20 people around me, 20 physicians. They were pediatric physicians. They were emergency physicians. They were like, okay, probably I can learn it, but so I think for ultrasound, point of care ultrasound, one of the biggest challenges is to supply training. If we can give them maybe just a briefing about how to use the equipment, it's like you have a car, you don't even know how to start the car. So that's how it
Right,
feels. Just giving them a bit of briefing
right.
regarding how to get it started. Once they're started, these people are pretty quick in learning because they already
Sure.
have the knowledge in anatomy. They are in medicine, right? They just need to
Right,
correlate the images with their knowledge, with their anatomy knowledge, with their pathology knowledge, so they can
right.
learn pretty quickly.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see the need outside of our own borders, right? But I'm super grateful that I live in a country that makes it so available, right? And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I'm just more devoted to education, such as you. And I understand that you're creating a school there in Canada. Is that right?
Yes, Debbie, I have got a place in Vancouver, that in the greater Vancouver area. We did there's a city of Richmond, and I have about a property a size of about 1,700 square feet, and I'm designating this place as a point of care training center. I know there are many training groups, but usually they rent a hotel room. I think my place is designed specifically for the training. Even the power outlets are designed for ultrasound machines. So I have that in mind, and I have talked to many people about the layout. I got a lot of valuable feedback. So this is going to become one of the first centers in Canada, likely in the US too. So yeah, welcome to come to Vancouver, and if you want to run a few sessions, I can give you the facility. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But that's
Mm.
exciting. That's exciting that those kind of places are going to start to exist just for, physicians talk to other physicians. And so if there's a quick
Mhm.
weekend training, I think a lot of physicians would be quick to want to get that kind of training if it can be
Mhm.
done like in a weekend or something of that nature, just to feel more confident with their skills and understand what's going on
Mhm.
and how to use it and how to spread it to the world, right? And take it to different things. I traveled with I think four other OBGYNs who also saw the need, and we went to just one tiny itty bitty small area in Honduras, right? And even in Honduras, there was just multiple places that we could have gone to help. And now with, like you said, the portable, that makes it even more access, right? I've talked to a lot of either athletic trainers who need to learn how to use ultrasound because they use it to check if there's a distal pulse or blood
Mhm.
pulse. So I've encouraged some of that and worked with some people there for that. And So yeah, I think it's needed everywhere, education and travel and bringing the awareness to other sonographers about not just what we're doing here in the US or Canada, but what the whole world looks like for ultrasound. And
Yeah,
what can we
agree,
do to be a
agree.
part of that, you know? Can we go on a mission trip sometime and
Mhm.
take it to other people? Or can we, donate so people can go?
Mm.
So I think it's just such valuable experiences and information to be able to share with others. And I think we're pretty spoiled here in the US and don't understand how nice and spoon-fed sometimes we are, right? And I also appreciate it. I think in our previous conversation, you said something about how other countries, the physicians are the ones who do the ultrasound. They're not the ultrasound techs, which really tells me that, that we're so vital to continue our education and to pass on those tricks of the trade to
Mhm.
generations coming on, right? I mean, you've been in this 17 years and I've been in this 28 years and you know,
Wow.
I'm hoping to help those who are coming into the program or into the occupation like people did for me, right? Here's the trick. Here's what you have to look for. Here's how you have to hold it. There's
Mhm.
certain tricks to the
Mhm.
trade in each
Yeah,
modality. And to be able to have mentors that could be connected with somehow other people in other countries in order to mentor that skill, would be a really fun idea to explore, just to spread more education, I think, about it all.
I think there are two folds in terms of education. One is, as we discussed, we need to mentor our fellow sonographers or any healthcare practitioner, give them tips, give them experience, give them ideas, because we have benefited from our mentors in the past. We want to help them to give them because ultrasound is hands-on. It's a trade. It's basically a craft. It has theory, but more importantly, you have to really scan,
Right.
have to grab the probe and scan. This is the one, I mean, for general learning opportunities, for general helping to for other people. And the other thing you mentioned is, I remember last time we chatted, to have a channel for sonographers to further improve their education levels so they can maybe have a bit of higher level of practice.
Right.
So yeah, maybe in the future we can have a higher like master's degree or or more bachelor's degree to allow people to pursue higher education. Or eventually, can we have a designation for a practitioner, like a nursing practitioner, right? Nurse practitioner.
Right.
So those
Advanced
are
practice sonographer. Yeah.
yeah, those are opportunities for career development. I think we as sonographers we should have that channel if we want to further our career.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's something in the making, and I think
Mhm.
that might be coming down the pike a little bit here in the US. There's, you know, a handful of people who are kind of starting down that journey, but hopefully too will open up different opportunities in other countries as
Mhm.
well to be able to do some of that more advanced training and work alongside shoulder to shoulder with other physicians, you know, and expanding our career. So I appreciate your passion and your dedication to this occupation, and your passion is put to work with your school that you're building. And I'm excited if I
Mhm.
get up that far north. I have a home in Minnesota, so if I go up a little further, I might see you up there and give you a call. And I would love to visit and see what it's like. And I think we need more of that goodness in the world. So I appreciate your kindness and sharing your experiences today and your future with us. And thank you for taking that risk and creating and building that place and to educate more people on our profession. And hopefully we can all together elevate our profession. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your kind words and also the encouragement. This is a small step from me, and I think there's a long journey for ultrasound to be further promoted, to be further used, to be, in my words, democratized. I know people, when people talk about ultrasound, they have passion about it. Most people know the value of it, and now we just need to make the equipment more accessible and also make training more accessible. So
Right.
that you and me, you have been in the field for 28 years, and so much respect for you. And you don't look like you have been working for 28 years.
I colored the gray out.
Yeah, nice chatting with you, Davey. It's a great great area to pursue. It's not only it's rewarding, but also it's interesting because it keeps us learn all the time.
Yeah, learning. And I think it's important to be connected to other people in different parts of the world to say, what are you doing and what are your experiences? And so I
Yeah.
appreciate your sharing of your experiences of being in other countries. And so it just kind of widens our perspective and lets us know, gives us some things to be grateful for, but it also gives us some things that maybe we can, give back in some way to the world that we live in, right? Um,
Yeah,
with our
yeah.
profession. So,
We do our part. We know the value of the modality, and we do our part, and also and we have a lot of hope, and there's also a lot of promise in this field. And I'm confident we're gonna. It's a beautiful journey ahead of us.
yes, I am too. I'm excited. And so when I come to Canada, I will definitely send you a message and I would be honored to visit your school and see what you have going and help to expand that in any way I can. So thanks so
Definitely, I'll
much
keep
for
you
your
posted.
time.
I'll let you know when it's finished.
Okay. Yes, please do. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie, for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to It's All About the Frequency podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Share it with a friend and remember to keep your frequency high.